whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice in thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since thou art laid down, no fella is come up against us. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, be the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious.
Because the Lord is going to restore everything. You're going to have a total different vibration on the earth, a total different smell. You're not going to be walking down the street and smell shit and piss, you know, and no foul odors or nothing like that, because the lungs of the earth are going to be given back to it, which is all these trees and all of these flowers, and it's going to be a whole total different vibration. You know, you're going to see the aura and how things are going to change and how elevated things are going to be. Our senses are going to be heightened, you know? Everything about us is going to be glorified.
For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. The child shall die 100 years old. But the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build, and another inhabit. They shall not plant, and another eat. Whereas the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, saith the Lord.
The Lord said that on the Heavenly Father's right hand there are pleasures evermore. And it says that I have not seen, neither ear heard the things which the Lord hath prepared for them that wait for him. You know, there's a whole another world of greatness that awaits us when the kingdom of heaven is established. It's not seen in this society. In this society, we only see carnal things that reason offers in this society. But when the kingdom is established, the Lord is going to open us up to a whole nother world, you know, of pleasure, of knowledge, of wisdom, understanding, you know, just, I mean, can't even be put into words, you know, because our imagination only goes but so far.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Shai. Oh, Salaki, Lord will. You know, this lesson, you know, was edifying, you know, and what I want to get into this morning, you know, was created, you know, desperation, all right, within this morning news and prophecy. All right, we're going to get into created desperation and continual war, okay, because what we see happening, all right, is the devil, you know, he's going to bring so much chaos, you know, so much turmoil, so much, you know, poverty and scarcity, okay, that it's going to create, an atmosphere of desperation, because when people are desperate, okay, their rational thinking goes out the door. When people are in fear and desperate, their rational thinking, all right, goes out the door. Okay. And this is one of the tactics, all right, one of the psychological, all right, warfare tactics of the devil, is to create a lot of fear, panic, okay, and desperate, all right, desperation, okay, before he brings out the sea hip. Okay, so everything that we're seeing happening is meant to create scarcity, fear, and desperation. Okay, in order to get people to beg for a solution, which he already has, okay, in place, man. Because as he's creating this chaos, he's putting the finishing touches on his infrastructure, all right, his AI infrastructure, okay, for the MOTB. Okay, so let's get a few precepts, and then I got a couple of videos I want to get into. Quite a few. So this one might be a little longer than usual. But what else we got to do? You know, this let's go here to let's get this Second Ezra chapter 5. Okay, in verse 1. All right, Second Ezra 5:1 said, nevertheless, it's coming the tokens. All right, or the signs. Okay, because we see, okay, where this thing is headed. All the signs are there that this devil, all right, his mind is made up that he's gonna go for it. Okay, this devil is going for his move with this new world order. He's he's locked in now. He's at the point of no return. You see, so ain't no going back. People, are optimistic about trying to get back to some type of normalcy, and it's over with. This devil, he's at the point of no return. He got to go on. He got to go on. Come on in now. Okay. It said, nevertheless, as the coming tokens, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in great number. Okay. So a lot of people are getting ready to be taken in a great number. There's going to be a lot of death. Okay. And a lot of people finna bend the knee. Okay. And it says, it says, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. Okay. Because when this devil, the Lord is going to remove the word. Okay. He's going to allow Esau, you know, to persecute the word, to persecute the church. All right. The word is going to be removed. It's going to be a famine of the word. And then it's just going to get crazy, man. All right. It's going to be pandemonium. So the word not going to be going out. But then you're going to have this time of tribulation, and see, people are going to be extremely desperate. This is going to create an atmosphere of extreme desperation. Okay, and this what this devil, okay, is conjuring up. You see, faith gonna be barren. Ain't Christianity not preparing you for these times? Okay, being a nigga, all right, NBA young boy ain't preparing you for these times. Okay, being an independent woman ain't prepared you for these times. See, everything that our people have lived by, okay, hasn't prepared them for this. Okay, they're not gonna. They don't have any foundation to stand on in this storm. Okay, so the land, as scriptures say, gonna be barren of faith. Okay, and people are gonna become extremely desperate, man. And the only narrative that people are gonna have access to is the narrative of the devil. Okay, and he's gonna present that pseudo salvation. Okay, verse 2 it said, "But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago." Okay, so iniquity, all right, which is wickedness, going to be increased. Okay, because hey, it's not going to take long for this place to go into a purge type atmosphere. When resources are scarce. Okay, when people are not able to eat. All right. It's not gonna take long for this place to go into a purge atmosphere, man. Okay. It's a lot, okay, of wickedness. It's a lot of violence. Okay, it's a lot of unrest. Okay, that's right ahead of us, man. You see? So what we're finna see now is when you go to what these devils want to do is create, okay, this desperation. All right. I think I got a video from a brother I want to get into. But what we're finna see with the elites, okay, they're finna set the stage. Okay, they finna set the atmosphere for desperation, man. Okay, and fear. Okay, because that gives the control, that puts them. That's how the few is able to control many through constant fear. You know, and we're gonna get that in a minute. And I'm gonna cue this video up and get some of these precepts that brothers got. The water for you brothers. Tuning in. The water for you sisters as well. Listening in obedience. Okay, so let's go here to this video. And see, as we go into these things, we have to fully understand that this is these calamities. This is for the wicked. Okay, the Lord is bringing these times of tribulation for the wicked. This is a punishment, you know, and that's why we should put emphasis on being pleasing to our power to avoid punishment. Okay, because we'll get that our brothers out. But let's go here. It's from the brother Yaquab. All right, hopeful leg 3. So let's get this video. And was making some points. So I just want to expound on some points. All right, that was making. Okay, so let's cue this up. Get a couple of these brother pre-sales first, and then we'll play that video and go from there. All right, so let's this from the brother. All right, Yahweh's will and testament. Isaiah 24:11. It said, "There's a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened, and the mirth of the land is gone." Yeah, see, the mirth is finna moose. Okay, you see, the American has been one big party for decades, man. Okay, it's just been a never-ending, non-stop party for decades. Okay, people, have become extremely self-absorbed. People worship themselves. People just into what they got. Everybody's in their own little bubble. Okay, but all these little individual bubbles from the pop. Okay, and all this pride. Okay, which is peaking out. Okay, it's finna plummet instantly. Okay, so the joy is darkened. The joy is finna be darkened, and the mirth is finna be gone. Okay, and you see it gradually, fading away. Okay, the club life, is declining. The tourism is declining. Okay, you see, things are on the decline now. All right, and it's gonna plummet. Okay, because all it takes is a particular event or two. Okay, for things to just spiral. Okay, into chaos and unrest. Okay, it says a crying for wine in the streets. Hey, because right now the prophets are still out. So the spiritual buffet is open. But there's gonna be a time when, hey, the spiritual feast is gonna end. Okay, you're not gonna come and be able to dine, all right, on this word anymore. Okay, the new wine that the scriptures speak about, which is the truth. Okay, and you people, you're gonna try to establish, because one thing people do when times get hard, or things become uncertain, they try to overcompensate. Okay, with what? Entertainment or tradition. That's why you see people trying to put Halloween decorations up in September. You like, God damn, it's still 98 degrees outside. Nigga got a big ass pumpkin out in the front. The nigga be trying to uh, 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 rekindle Okay, the good times, man. Okay, well, the Lord's finna take away people's ability to do that. That's why I need times now, and I pray that that this, holiday season be absolutely debacle. You know, I hope people don't have resources to do a goddamn thing, man. Okay, so reading this is Yahweh's will and testament. Amos 8:13 says, "In that day, all right, shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst." Okay, and it's gonna be a thirst of this word, man. They're gonna faint because if you don't have this word, well, guess what? You're not gonna be hydrated to get through this time. As the scriptures speak about enduring to the end. And if you don't have this word, you're not gonna have that spiritual hydration needed to endure to the end. Okay, because most of our people are spiritually dehydrated. Okay, and see, in this time, you're gonna need that spiritual water, all right, to endure, the things that's coming. Okay, so let's go here. Let me get some more of you brothers precepts. Well, let's play this video, and we'll expound on some things said in here. Um,
The simple way to get everyone to accept the mark of the beast. Starve them out, make them homeless, and keep them sick. Oh, and as far as you talking about the EBT card holders looting stores, that's not going to happen. You see, all it takes is for one city, one store, it doesn't matter what it's to happen to. The news gets out there immediately. Guess what happens? Trump sends out the military, not the National Guard. I think y'all forgetting. He got the military on standby. What we saw on these videos of they meeting, that was what they wanted us to see. But you got to remember the camera turns off. And they had their own private conversation. Why do you think some of them stepped down and got the fuck away? Because of the news that they heard. But I'm going to get deeper into this. You see, they need us to beg them. Because martial law is going to come. Once anybody think about looting, it's going to come. You're stuck in your home. Now, all of you out there that's talking bad about the EBT card holders, thinking to yourself, yo, me and my family okay. I'm going to be honest with you, no, you're not. No, you're not. One or two things going to happen. One, it's going to run out eventually. Two, when ICE, National Guards, or whoever come to your home and don't think you above nobody else that they can't come inside your home, guess what? Their mission is to make sure they make it as uncomfortable as they possibly can for you. It has to be done. Make the people beg. Cripple them. Knock them down to the ground. So then when they come out and say, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to wipe away your credit. We're going to do all of this. Make sure you eat. We got 15-minute cities. Homes for all of you. But all you got to do is just take this little pinch right here and you and your family okay. You know what? Without a second thought, millions and millions and millions and millions of Americans are going to do it. The ones who don't do it, they're going to try to put up a fight for a minute. You're going to have many people do it. But here's the problem with it. When you're looking at your kids starving, your wife, your husband, or even your damn self starving, you're going to be like, you know what? It don't matter anyway. I'm going to die. You're going to take that mark of the beast. Get ready for it.
and there you have it. All right. So Esau, Edom. Okay, he's going to create. All right, a atmosphere of desperation, man. Okay, and you see a glimpse of it. Okay, you look at this latest reaction, with the EBT snap hood. All right, you're going to see desperation if they don't send out these benefits in November and December. You're going to see a desperation that you haven't seen before. We're going to see a desperation that we haven't seen before. Okay, going into this time of the year. All right. So these devils, all right, because remember, they're all into psychology, the study of the spirit, the study of the mind. Okay. So they know how to set up particular scenarios and certain events, okay, to cause desperation, to cause fear. Because when you go, it's real quick. Because what we're going to do from there, we're going to go into the practical. All right, we're going to go into uh go into Richard Wolf. All right, Uncle Richard. You know, he's an economist, but he's all right going to break down a few things of what he sees as an economist, as a historian. Okay, dealing with what he's seeing today. All right. Now let's go here real quick to the chat, and then we're gonna go into Richard Wolf. Okay, he has an interview where he's breaking particular things down. Okay, dealing with this current economy. Now, um, let's go here to the chat real quick as we were speaking about, fear and desperation. So I asked the chat, is fear and desperation, all right, used to control the masses? It says yes. All right, make sure we share. Okay, here we go. All right. So I asked, is fear and desperation used to control the masses? It said yes, fear and desperation have often been powerful tools for control used by a few to manage or manipulate the many. This dynamic appears repeatedly throughout history, politics, religions, economics, and even modern media. Let's unpack how and why it works. Okay. It says fear narrows thinking. Fear triggers our brain's survival systems. When people feel threatened by war, economic collapse, disease, or other, all right, and we've seen that doing what? The pandemic. They scared people, okay, into taking poison. They're voluntarily going to get poison. You know, they fear, they scare people with death to go accept death. Okay. It says, um, reading again said, fear triggers our brain survival systems when people feel threatened by war, economic collapse, disease, or the other. They, all right, seek protection and certainty, all right, are less likely to question authority, okay, focus on immediate safety rather than long term thinking, okay, and we're finna see this. We're finna see this real time, okay. This is why, okay, you're gonna see, all right, people that was proud a month ago in complete desperation and humility, man. Okay, the Lord has a way of making a statement, and He's gonna make a statement by bringing particular, all right, disasters and okay, and scarcity, okay, and violence. You see, it says this makes population more compliant and easier to guide, especially if leaders present themselves as protectors, man. Come on, man. Okay, then Trump sell himself as a protector. Okay, then he present himself as a protector of conservative values, the working class. Okay, so in order for him to present himself as a protector, there has to be okay something that he's protecting you from. Okay, at first it was, Hamas. Then it was Iran. Now it's the Venezuelan cartels. It's always something that they got to protect you from. Okay, young niggas in the city. Okay, there's always something they got to protect you from, man. So prepare for more things. Okay, for more boogeymans to be created. Okay, to cause fear so they can show up as a protector. All right, it says creating or amplifying fear. Those in power can shape or exaggerate threats to maintain control. External enemies, we're under attack. Only we can defend you. Okay? It says internal enemies, the enemy within. They've been saying that lately. Traitors, heretics, and subversives are among us. Okay? Haven't they been using that tactic, the enemy within? Okay? The next war, okay, is on America. They told the generals the next war you're going to fight will be in America. Okay? It says, without our policies, you'll lose your job, home, or future. Okay? You see how many people, okay, were threatened with loss of jobs to get the juice? Okay? You couldn't go here, you couldn't go there. You know? So this is nothing but fear tactics, okay, for control. And that's why the scriptures constantly tell us what? Fear not, okay, fear not. All right. It says desperation weakens resistance. When people are desperate due to poverty, famine, and instability, they accept harsher conditions. Hold on, so like, all right. It said they accept harsher conditions for survival, have less time or energy to organize or resist, depend more on those offering food, safety, or hope. You see? And this is the atmosphere that the devil is creating. You see? Of fear and desperation that gives him complete control. Okay? So if he can put you in fear, if he can put you in the state of desperation, he got you. Okay? And the masses are going to be in a state of fear and desperation, man. Okay, it says empires, corporations, and political regimes have often exploited this dynamic, controlling populations not by force alone, but by managing scarcity and uncertainty. Okay, but by managing scarcity and uncertainty, man. And that's all this devil is pushing is scarcity and uncertainty. Okay, we don't have the funds to do this. We can't supply this month. Okay, we don't have the money for this. Okay. You know, the farmers can't keep up with demand, this and that. Okay. There's a shortage on this, a shortage on that. We don't know what the government, and then they constantly, cause see, they've been running that, okay, if they haven't come to an agreement, okay, by November 1st, okay, then the snap not gonna go out. But they've been running this story for 2.5 weeks. That's on purpose. So every day, all you're concerned about, damn, if they gonna open up today. If they gonna open up today, they just create anxiety. Okay, these people that's furloughed, they're just creating anxiety. It's putting them in a state of an anxiety, man. Because even if they do open up, let's say they open up tomorrow, the day after, and things continue on. Well, guess what? The psychological damage has been done. You spent the last 2, 3 weeks, all right, in anxiety, man. Okay, so the damage has been done. You see, and they do it over and over again. Constantly weakening your logical thinking. Okay, and making you more dependent on the oppressor, man. Okay, so this is what we're seeing happening, man. And all right, let's go here. As I got another video I want to get into. We'll get a couple of y'all precepts too. But and before we do that, let me get these two. Because there's a lot of scriptures, okay, where we're, commanded, to fear not. Okay. You can hear this in Isaiah 41. Okay, and we're told repeatedly to fear not. You see, and this is why we're being conditioned to trust in our power. Okay, and the Lord gonna put His Spirit on His elect. All right, not to have fear in these times. Okay, it says this Isaiah 41:8. It said, "But thou Israel art my servant." Okay, which your brother put that precept up. Said what his servant's going to eat. And right now, the hopeful elect, all right, are considered the servants of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. All right, it said, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend, thou whom I have taken from the ends of the earth and called thee from the chief men thereof, and said unto thee, thou art my servant. I have chosen thee and not cast thee away. And see, the Lord has raised up the prophets as a sign to show, look, I'm dealing with y'all. You know, we back. You know, to just we've been reconciled with our power. Right before the tribulation, the Lord, you know, has us being reconciled, okay, back into His favor, okay, and if we have the favor of our power, we have nothing to worry about. You see, and it was all possible, and that's why Yahweh Shah did when he said it is finished. Yahweh Shah created that, okay, avenue for us to be reconciled with our power. Okay, so that's already been established through Yahweh Shah, us being reconciled and in good standings with our power. That's why Yahweh Shai, one of his titles is the Prince of Peace. Okay, because he established peace between, all right, Israel and the Most High, and in this time frame, it's the elect of Israel. Okay, the hopeful elect. All right, verse 10 it says, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy power." You know, we gotta understand He is. We got a power behind us. We're not going into these times, all right, talking about we a Democrat or Republic or a Christian, you know. I'm a real nigga, bad. But see, Jake going into this time with these mindsets and these philosophies and doctrines, and they finna be absolutely obliterated, man. Okay? No, we going into this thing trusting on Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. And the Lord has us serving Him. Okay, it says, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy power. I will strengthen thee. Yeah, I will help thee. Yeah, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness, man." So we're promised to have help in these times, man. Okay, the Lord not ignorant of the circumstances we in. Okay, provisions are already made. You know, because provisions is something that's considered beforehand. You know, if you're going to build, okay, you're going to build something. Okay, but when you sit down to plan on what you're going to build, you got to make provisions, resources, manpower, food, transportation, all those things are already figured out before you, all right, nail one nail. Okay, so in these times that we're coming into, the Lord already got the provisions. There you go. Call Allah Shai. The Lord already got the provisions set up for the hopeful elect going into these times, man. Okay, our food supply is secured. Okay, our protection, our power, our defense is secured. Okay, we're prepping now. Okay, laboring, okay, and being obedient to this word. This is how we're prepping. Okay, it says, "Thou shalt seek them and shalt." It says, "Behold," verse 11, they that were incensed against thee shall be ashamed and confused. They shall be as nothing, and they that scribe with thee shall perish." Okay, and you read in the NLT, it get a little harsh. Okay, because the Lord don't play by His elect, man. You see, and in this time, that's another thing. These devils, when they create fear and desperation, it's easy for them to create a scapegoat. Because people, they unify, you know, amongst, around a common scapegoat. So people that's at odds with each other, they unify, all right, against a scapegoat, someone they can blame everything on. All right. And that's going to be us. Okay. It says, see all your angry enemies. This is Isaiah 41:11 in the NLT. It says, see all your angry enemies lie there, confused and humiliated. All right, because the Lord finna go to work on these people, man. They finna point the finger, and we're gonna be the scriptures say the scum of the earth. But guess what? These prophecies finna, all right, pummel these people, man. Okay, you see, pretty soon they not gonna have enough strength, okay, to point the finger, man. Okay, they finna be suffering and in torments, man. You see, he says anyone who opposes you will die and come to nothing. Okay, our power is finna intervene on our behalf, man. We ain't finna be out here, all right, like Willie Lump, man. Nah, man, our power is gonna intervene. It says you will look in vain for those who tried to conquer you. Those who attack you will come to nothing, man. That begins with Esau, Edom, beginning with the elites, okay, because they're the mastermind behind the persecution that's coming, okay, behind the chaos that's coming, okay. But the Lord is finna diminish them. Okay, it said, I said, for I hold you by your right hand, I the Lord your power, and I say to you, don't be afraid. I am here to help you, man. So we don't have the spirit of fear. Okay, even when you go into we've been going into it first. It's First Timothy 1. No, Second Timothy. Let me go. Second Timothy 1:9. 1:7. All right, this is Second Timothy 1:7. For the Most High has not given us the spirit of fear and timidity, all right, being timid by these times, but of power, love, and self-discipline, man. And that's another thing. These people lack of discipline, okay, is going to work against them, man, because this is a impatient society, okay? Because we're going to have to, have patience and wait on the Lord's favor. We're going to have to wait. Like, we're going to have to do without particular things and comforts until the Lord's favor kick in. You see, with these people, all right, in this society of convenience, okay, what they call a microwave society, these people, they don't have their patience, man. Everybody want what they want, how they want it, when they want it. Okay. So let's go here. So let's go to let's go here. All right. So this is an interview with my guy Richard Wolf. So he's gonna go into, you know, explain the things that we're seeing, what they're seeing, from the economy side, all right, of this current situation. Okay, so let's play this.
Welcome to Sabby Sab's podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. My special guest today is Professor Richard Wolf. He's an economist and he's the host of Democracy at Work. Welcome back, Professor Wolf.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. I'm glad to be here.
So there's a lot of crazy things that are happening right now, in particular with the economy. A lot of Americans are starting to see that even though we have changed administrations in the White House, that their bottom line still isn't being met, right? Like they're not getting those kitchen tables issues met. And recently, the director of GoFundMe, he made a statement, and I think a lot of people need to hear what he said. He was talking about what people are using GoFundMe for today, and I think it says a lot about the American economy.
On the economy, look through the prism of GoFundMe. I mean, prices for medical expenses, burials, I mean, not to get depressing, and these things have gone through the roof the past few years.
Yeah, I mean, we can continue to see all categories grow. I think maybe one indicator that's interesting is we have a group of sort of a category of fundraising we call essentials, which are things like rent, utility bills, car payments, sort of your basic things you need to get through life. That category has gone up significantly in the last 3 years in practically all our markets because affordability is an issue in essentially all OECD economies.
So people starting GoFundMe campaigns just to get food. And I don't mean to sound flippant. I just think natural disaster, GoFundMe. I don't necessarily think, wow, I need groceries.
Yes, in some cases, very sadly, that is happening.
Wow.
Look, you could spend thousands hiring a professional video editor, or you could use Animoto to create pro-quality.
That's the state that we're in currently today, where now even people are using GoFundMe for groceries. And I've seen people use it for years for medical expenses, for surgery.
So it's to the point now, people are using GoFundMe for groceries. All right. He's creating a scarcity, man. People are using GoFundMe for groceries, man. Okay. This is the economy that this man, okay, is using, all right, to bring the squeeze. This economy is meant to bring the squeeze. Okay, they play in your face like they doing this and that to try to fix it. No, this economy is meant to bring the squeeze. Okay.
But now for food. What does this mean for the American economy?
Well, allow me the indulgence, since I watch all this stuff literally all day, every day, to say to the American people, of which I am a part, happy to be so, born and raised and worked all my life here in the United States, I don't understand why it's taking this long for people to understand what that gentleman from GoFundMe and what you're trying to put on the table for us to think about. Why is it taking this long? It's like watching in slow motion as a train full of happy people seems unaware that the train is heading straight for a stone wall and that this isn't going to end real well within the next 20 seconds if somebody doesn't pull the brake. I mean, this is simply the latest in a pile of statistics. If I can pick up on what you just said, Sabrina, you've been aware of this for a while. You just said so. You've been noticing that people around you, friends, neighbors, and so on, are using GoFundMe for what that gentleman calls the essentials. You bet they have been. They've been dipping into their savings, if they have any, for their essentials. They've been leaning on family and friends to help them out a little if they need essential. More and more it's happening. It is what, if I can quote him, what Bernie Sanders quite rightly says are two different Americas. The one that's, raking it in at the stock market and having a ball and with plenty of money to spend, doesn't care if there's an inflation 2, 3, 4, 5% more for everything from soup to nuts, won't matter to them. They're rich. But then there's the 90% of the rest of us for whom this is not funny. This is not, to use that gentleman's word, flippant. This is serious business. The economy is in terrible shape. Let me be as blunt as I can, and you can see, I've been around a while from the color of my hair, right? You can tell. I've never seen the American economy in this bad shape. Never, ever, ever. And I'm not alone. I sit to have a cup of coffee with my left-wing friends, my right-wing friends, my people in the middle. We don't agree on how we got into this situation, and we don't agree on how to get out of it. No question. But here's what we agree on, which everybody ought to think about. We agree on what I just said, namely, this is the worst condition of the American economy in our respective lifetimes, whether we're in our 80s or in our 20s. And that's the reality.
Yeah, it's really scary times. I still don't think the economy ever fully recovered from the '08 housing crisis.
That's right.
I still, go back towards that. And now there is a warning that is coming from Congress because of the government shutdown that SNAP could impact millions of Americans because of the possibility that there could be SNAP cuts. Pennsylvania is one of the states that said that they wouldn't be able to, reverse theirs. They've already put out an announcement. And I was just told yesterday from someone in Missouri that they may be in trouble as well. when we look at like this, the possibility that millions of Americans could have SNAP cuts, I immediately think about the red states, because these are the states that usually don't have as much funding as the blue states, right? So like Mississippi, Louisiana, et cetera, they get hit really hard. The farmers in those states are being hit really hard. Why do you think more people are not willing to just put, I guess, take off their political party hats for just a second and just see things for what they really are, which is that the working class is completely being dismissed or forgotten about by either our government, but also the billionaire class. And they're just willing to step on anyone that is beneath them to accomplish like their agenda. It just baffles me that millions of Americans could lose access to SNAP, which includes, of course, groceries, and it's called supplemental nutrition, but we're talking about children as well that do depend on SNAP.
Well, I think the politics is largely the problem here. We have two political parties, both of whom depend on donors, and the donors are not you and me, and not the people who send in $20 or $3, crumpled up in an envelope. We're talking.
Yeah, Salakia. Well, just to expound on, what Sabrina, because this little chick Sabrina, she's optimistic, about America recovering and people coming together in communities. She's gonna speak on that, but see, Richard Wolf is gonna let her know directly that this shit over, okay? Because in her mind, because this what people can't fathom is that their government don't give a damn about them, okay? This is what people can't fathom. People can't come to grips, all right, that their government that they think that they voted for doesn't give a damn about them, okay? And this is the hard reality that people are being faced with. And they playing right in you people in your face. Okay? They play right in you people's face, man. Okay? Only thing they allow, these things to be reported intentionally. Okay? They keep reporting that they giving 20 billion here, 80 billion there, 100 billion here. Trump building a ballroom at the White House. Okay, $300 million project. Okay, $300 million. All right, project at the White House. Okay, and if you go into, let's see real quick, how much? All right, would it take? All right, let's look at it real. How much would it take to fund snap for a month. All right. But these devils constantly play in your face. Okay. So you go into it here. So it would take 9 billion, just a quick look up. It would take 9 billion, okay, to cover SNAP for a month. All right. But they just gave what 20 billion to Argentina. Okay. And they do that on purpose. All right. They play in your face on purpose. They want you to be emotional. Okay. They want you to be disappointed because they just have you all over the place. You're mad. Okay. You're sad. You're depressed. You're anxious. Okay. You're in fear. You're uncertain. They want you to be, because this is basically like a form of MK Ultra. Because with MK Ultra, what do? They break you down, okay, and then they put you back together. All right, they psychologically break you down, and then they put you back together. Okay, so they're doing it on a large scale. You know, they have you all over the place. Okay, breaking you down, and then they start putting you back together. Okay, the way that they want you to be. You see? So like this little chick Sabrina, you know, she really doesn't understand, you know, OG trying to tell her, all right, which he's finna get ready to tell her, like, look, your government don't work for you. They haven't worked for you in a long time. And if you were Israelite, you one of the tribes, they never worked for you. Okay? So let's play this, you know. Let's keep playing it.
About the people like Elon Musk who give money in the millions to politicians, we can't kind of really be surprised if you're a politician whose election costs you X million dollars, which you can only raise from the people who are in a position to give you that kind of money, that you're not going to do things that they're not happy about. Because if you do, not only will they not give you the money they used to, but they'll go find someone to run against you in the next election and give him or her the money. I mean, that is the reality that we live in. We've allowed our political system to go in that direction. And so we're getting statements that are good for policies that are good for the people who are the donors, the 1%, the top 10%, however you want to count it, and not good for the rest of us. And comes right out of our political system. But there is an even bigger story to tell here, which I try as best I can to get across. For most of the last century, which means your lifetime, my lifetime, and the lifetimes of everybody listening or watching to what we're doing here, the United States has been the number one economy in the world. The truth of it is, we've been living in a century that could be and has been called the American century, or the century of the American Empire. The way the 19th was a century of the British Empire that ruled the world. The British love to tell each other the sun never sets on the British Empire, because wherever the sun is, there the British Empire has some property, and so the sun is always, in a sense, shining. Well, the last century has been the American. And I'm afraid, as an American, and I know this is difficult, I have to tell you, otherwise I'm dishonest, I have to tell you that the American empire is over. We've had ours. The human race has had one empire after another for thousands of years. They all have one thing in common. They're not here anymore. Empires are born, they evolve, and then they pass away.
He putting it on them, you know, and you can look at Sabrina's face like, God damn. You know, because she talking about recovery, you know. I'm trying to tell her this shit over. Okay, this is bigger than just the price of eggs. This is the end of an empire. Okay, it's done. Okay, and he's shooting it to her straight. You know, and you look on her face like, God damn, you know. But let's get that in precepts real quick, and then we'll come back. Yeah, God damn, Sabrina. Yeah, it's over, boo. You know, it's just done. All right. End of empire, man. Okay. That's ultimately where we at. All right. We can sit here and discuss, the index and the physical year and all this shit. But at the end of the day, is the end of an empire. That's where we at, man. Okay. Uh let's go here. All right, this book of Psalms, chapter 75. Damn, Uncle done broke Sabrina heart, goddamn. She trying to revamp. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, them OG, they done accepted this shit, you know. You see, and then he studies history and economy, so he sees the patterns, which I got another lesson. Uh Hopefully I could do sometime this week. It's gonna compare different empires and they collapse. Our Baratas are. But this Psalm 75, and I started at 4. It says, I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and to the wicked, lift not up the horn, lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck. And see, this is addressing Esau. All right. And what this devil has done, he's lifted up he's done the opposite. What the scripture tells this man not to do, he does. What the scripture say to do, he doesn't do. Okay. So this man, all right, has lifted himself up as if he's going to keep himself in power. Okay. Lord, if he's, through his strength, going to keep himself in power. And it goes back to Rome, because Rome had this term, empire without end, which, Lord will, their live screen come out, tonight on the Kingdom Minded and Historical Breakdown channel. But yeah, man. So when you keep reading, it said, lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck. And this devil has a stiff neck. You can't tell this nigga anything. He thinks that what he's doing is setting himself up to stay in power. But no, it's the end. It's over. Okay? It said, for promotion coming neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south, which is within the earth. Okay? Because in order to be promoted, all right, to rulership in the earth, well, it has to be ordained. Okay? And Esau, he's living in his ordained rulership. Okay? But it has an end. It has bounds. Okay? It said, but the Most High is the judge. He put us down one and set up another. And Richard was telling her, look, empires have a birth and they have an end. All right? He goes into it a lot. They have a birth. Okay? They peak out. All right? He said, empires are born, they evolve, and they die. Okay? That's what he's telling her. And right now, we in the death phase of an empire. Okay? So you can get analytical, and if you do this, you can reverse this. It's the end of an empire. Okay? The economy collapsing is just a symptom, okay, of that end. Okay? So let's go back. Let's go back here.
And so everyone who loved the American empire over the last century, who made out well in it, and there have been plenty, must have understood, even if they didn't want to admit it, that they knew that it would someday pass away too, like every other empire. We're living through the pass away. Why do I say that to you? Because here's how it touches your point. When empires decline, and this has been true of the British, the Roman, the Greek, you name it, African empires, Asian empires, when the empire goes down, the people who sit at the top of it, the ones who have the power, the ones who have the wealth, use their power and wealth, shouldn't surprise anyone, to hold on to what they got, which means that the decline, the burden of it, the shame of it, the suffering of it, is pushed onto the middle and the bottom, the people, as you put it, that are below. And that's what we're watching. The people at the top are holding on, and the rest of us are told, gee, the government can't pay your salary for the last 3 weeks. Or, gee, the SNAP program simply doesn't have the funding. I want to remind everyone our president, Mr. Trump, whatever you think of him, made a decision over the last 2 weeks to give a foreign government, in this case, the government of Argentina, that has an extreme right wing leader that Mr. Trump happens to like and who likes Mr. Trump. His name is Milei, to give him $20 billion to help him out. Well, to be a little bit more precise, what Mr. Trump did is he told the Argentinian people who are going to the polls next week to vote that if they vote for this guy, which, by the way, the polls show they don't want to do, but he said, if you vote for him, I'm going to give you $20 billion. And if you don't, I won't. I want to remind everyone, we got very angry a few years ago when we said the Russians interfered in our elections. They didn't interfere on that scale. This is interference of a whole new kind. What is he doing? $20 billion. That money is supporting the.
Now, just to explain what's happening. Okay, first let's go here. And then we're gonna go back to the. All right, let's go here. Okay, wherever the money flow, all right, you're gonna find them small hats. Okay, so when you go to 20 billion here, all right, we'll just look up a few things while we over there. But let's go here. All right, because you follow the money, okay, you're gonna follow the small hats. Now let's read this precept by the brother Yahweh's will and testament. This second Ezra 9 and 5, for like as all that is made in the world at the beginning, all right, and the end is manifest. You know, so everything that we're going into, all right, just gives credence, all right, to the end, all right, of this man's empire. Okay. Everything that we're going into, man, all this, all right, is a symptom of his end. Okay. This is what the Lord is doing. All right. And you get ready to cut off a long disease. Sirach 10 to 10, the physician cut off a long disease. All right. And he that is today a king, tomorrow shall die. Okay. So this man is a disease that's going to get cut out the earth, man. His rulership has plagued the earth. Okay. Now this is so I said, is there a Jewish population in Argentina? It says yes, Argentina has a large Jewish population representing the biggest in Latin America and one of the largest in the world, with estimates around 200,000 to 241,000 people. The majority, all right, of all right, small head Argentinians live in Buenos Aires, and the community has more significant, all right, has made, it says, and the community has made significant contributions to the country's culture and economy. Okay. So they're sending these money to these governments where they have these large, uh, small hat populations. Okay. And what they do is, okay, Trump sent that 20 billion, okay, to the current, all right, president during the time of the current president because he's not favored by the people. So what America is doing is saying, look, if you keep this guy in, these are the type of benefits that you're going to get from the empire. If you keep this guy in power, which most likely is a small hat, there's a tear that look like, you know, these Latin, one of the Latin tribes. Okay, they do that too. But so yeah, so you get this 20 billion while this guy's in office, All right, and this signals to the population, well, look, this is the type of aid you get from the empire if you keep him in power. Okay, because they need, because see, when you're an empire, that means you're over other governments. Okay, and what you want people that's in leadership of these other governments. All right, that's in lead with your doctrine. Okay, that's okay with how you govern the empire. Okay, they don't need people that's in leadership that opposes, the injustice of the empire. They need someone that's in league with the empire, no matter how unjust it is. Okay, because they don't feel like having to come do a coup and do this, and no, they rather just have people that's already there, that's in league with the empire. Okay, so they sent 20 billion to, all right, Argentina to keep this man, okay, as the president, to get favored. It pretty much was a big bribe. Okay, but then they did it right in front of your face, because guess what? It's 9 billion to fund SNAP every month. So they just sent 2 months worth of SNAP benefits, okay, to Argentina. Okay, yeah, that's your thing. They sent your Thanksgiving and Christmas to Argentina. Okay, and they do it right in your face. You see, and they want you to be emotional about it. All right. So yeah, just to explain. Oh yeah, let's look at this up too, because where has the money been flowing? Let's see, Argentina. All right, let's see. Is there a and yep. It says, so as is there a small head population in Ukraine? Yes, Ukraine has a significant, all right, small head population, although its size has declined substantially from its historical peak. Estimates vary, all right, with the core, all right, small head population around 43,000 to 45,000, while the enlarged population, including those with at least one, all right, small head parent, is estimated to be 140,000 to 200,000. Okay, so these governments, that have these safe havens for these small heads, this is where this money is flowing to: Ukraine, Argentina. Okay. Of course, the land of Israel, the state of Israel today. Okay. The money is flowing to where the small hat said, man. Okay. And away from, all right, you Americans, man. Okay. So let's go back to the video.
The government of Argentina, with your taxes in mind, and not being used to make our government take care of our needs. And this is being done by a man who claims that his policy puts America first. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. What it does is hold on to the people at the top, and they feel greater solidarity with Mr. Malay in Argentina than they do with their fellow Americans. And that's the truth, no matter what they say.
Yeah, the money is going in all the wrong places. One of the things I've said to people is that when these times arrive, in particular, what's happening right now with SNAP, like people need food.
Right.
This is all the more time for like ramping up mutual aid, right? Like this is all the more time where we should be building.
And I'm gonna put this in the with the rest of the video. It's pretty good. Got some more info. But yeah, so she go back to talking about mutual aid. She wants to save this place. She wants to heal Babylon. All right. So she's talking about the ramp up the mutual aid. Okay. You people hate each other. Ain't gonna be no mutual aid. So let's go into what mutual aid is. And that's not no solution. Okay, because you're gonna have bigger problems than just food shortages, man. Okay. So I just looked it up. What is mutual aid? Okay, 'cause she's still optimistic about, you know, something can be done to counter what's happening. Nah, all right, it's only one way to counter it, and that's through Yahweh. It said mutual aid is the voluntarily collaborative sharing of resources and services with a community to meet collective need. And this is a society full of scammers. If people are scamming, okay, and scheming with abundance, okay, what type of spirit you think they're going to be in scarcity? Okay. It said mutual aid is the voluntarily collaborative sharing of resources and services within a community to meet collective needs. And see, this what was going on during the book of Acts, mutual aid, when it was a famine in the land. All right, you read Acts the 5th chapter. Okay, that's why Ananias and Sapphira, they was put to death for playing. Okay, because the disciples or the apostles was establishing, mutual aid, for the church. Okay, and they was playing. You see, but an only possible community that this can take place is amongst the elect. And ultimately resources are going to come from the Lord. Okay, but their collaborative sharing is only going to be amongst the elect, because all these people hate each other. They just tolerate each other for convenience sake. Okay, and all these little false relationships that people have are going to collapse. All right, and they're going to tear each other heads off. Okay, it says operating on the principle of solidarity, not charity, is a system of mutual support often arising when government or private systems are insufficient, where people collectively coordinate to meet their own needs for survival and well-being. Mutual aid can involve providing for material needs like food and supplies, as well as supporting each other during crises like disasters and pandemics, man. And you people, you don't have the moral fabric, all right? You haven't been cultivated, to pull this off, all right? It's a very narcissistic, self-absorbed society, okay? Everybody's going to be worried about their own survival in this time, okay? And they're not rooted in anything, okay? You people are not rooted and grounded in anything but self-preserve, okay? uh, so um let's go back here, get a couple precepts. Yeah, it's just over, man. The empire is done. All right, and they finna come with the squeeze, okay, to make people desperate, okay. And there's only one way out of this, man. All right, that's why you go to St. John, all right, chapter 14 and 6. All right, I started 5. It said, Thomas said unto him, Lord, we know not whither thou goest, and how can we know the way? Yahweh Shah said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man coming unto the Father but by me. Okay, so Yahweh Shah is the only way out of here. Okay, there's no other way, all right, out of this situation but by Yahweh Shah. Okay, in which the Lord has allowed us, to embark on that path. The thing now is to endure. Okay, so we've, been allowed, privileged, to be on the path, all right, to follow Yahweh Shah. Okay, and it's gonna come with persecution. Okay, but then it comes with what? Favor and mercy. All right, and this is what these people don't have. All right, I think the brother put it up. Okay, let me see if I can find. I thought he did. Let's see. Let me get this in Proverbs. Let's see. All right, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, verse 18. It says, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Okay, so where there is no vision, okay, because the truth gives us a vision, all right, beyond America. You see, like Sabrina, all right, she's a prime example of someone, their vision, okay, is within America being, okay, healed, okay. Well, see, the truth gives us a vision beyond America. We know our vision involves America being obliterated, okay, the lake of fire, okay, because you go into the word vision in the Hebrew, okay, it's uh kazah, let's say kazah one, all right, kazah one, okay, when it goes into vision, oracle, prophecy, okay, you see, through prophecy we have a vision beyond America, okay, beyond Esau being in power, okay, and our people, they don't have that vision. They can't see beyond America, beyond this power structure that they exist in. They can't see beyond that, man. You know, and this is why the spirit has had us being dead to this world, okay, but alive, all right, in Yahweh, man. Okay. You see, we see a way out, you know, and these people are still stuck in trying to figure out, you know, how to heal America, man. Nah, man, we got a vision that doesn't, our vision doesn't include America, okay, and it doesn't include, you know, a Republican or a Democrat, all right. It includes the throne of David, all right, the elect being delivered, okay, and establishing righteousness in the earth forever, okay, and that's post destruction, post war, okay. So that's the point. I leave it there. You know, I say the other two videos for tomorrow. I'd rather um, but yeah, Lord will, you know, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified once again. We give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples for his younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations, and hopefully, shalom.